This is very quickly developing into the largest modern sporting scandal team. Not I mean Olympic, I mean team North American sporting scandal.
Not performance enhancers, none of that stuff.
In our lifetime.
Like the process of the game.
In our lifetime. And I was close to feeling that way last week. And then, of course, I wake up and I'm doing some reading this morning, and there's a new report. Joel Sherman, who's, one of the stronger and one of the most respected voices in the baseball community. Joel's been doing this for a long time from the Post and other outlets, MLB Network, et cetera. He intimates in his piece today that in addition to the center field camera that we discussed that was, in center field, and then that was communicated to the little, almost like a little war room right outside of the dugout, like the hallway into the locker room, where they would then transmit the sign and quickly get it back to the hitter in the batter's box by the one bang, the two bangs, or the no bang to intimate a fastball or an off-speed pitch. Now Joel has a story that there is a strong belief within Major League Baseball executives, the community, that the Houston Astros were wearing, imagine, wristbands with sensory devices that buzzed. That buzzed when a fastball was coming. Zzz, oh, fastball. And the two, and here's Altuve digging into the box. Zzz, fastball or zzz, change up. Teak, I don't know what we're going to do with this, but I do know this. If we didn't, and by we, I mean they, if baseball didn't learn their lesson from the steroid era, the punishment must be harsh. This is not only, and I stand by this, in real time, the largest scandal in North American sports. We're in the middle of it. People need to realize we are in the middle of this tsunami of sporting disrepair, all right? But they have to understand that this is now the most pivotal moment in the history of baseball. And Rob Manfred better handle this well, and he better handle this harshly, and we'll see what happens. So this is disgraceful.
Well, of course it is, because there's so many moments that I can think back to where a batter for the Houston Astros, and he may or may not, he may have been great, the hitter. Just whether it's Jose Altuve or Carlos Correa, whoever.
They're all good. Springer, everybody's good.
They're fantastic.
Bregman's good. They're all good.
They're just dialed in.
They're terrific.
They see a high fastball coming. I mean, you can kind of predict some of these things anyways, just from pitch counts and what the
pitch patterns, for sure.
Yeah, the pitch pattern,
sure.
What the count was. It's 2-2. You've already, burned two balls already. You got to throw something that he's going to swing at. It's going to be a high fastball. Sitting at home, you can figure that out. I do it
all the time.
He's throwing a high fastball. Jose Altuve catches up to it and throws it over the fence, and you're like, man, that dude's got a quick release. Now, but if he knew it was a high fastball as opposed to speculation that it was a high fastball, it changes your mind a little bit about their clutchness. Now, look, because I think they're good baseball players.
They're very good.
You know what I mean? But
that's irrelevant right now.
You still got to hit it. But still, it changes your mind about their clutchness, because what came to mind to me was, man, these Astros always were clutch.
Especially at home.
At home.
That's the...
You need a big hit. The big hit came.
Yep.
It didn't matter the circumstances. A big hit came. And if this turns out to be true, I don't know how you punish them enough, because they talk about draft picks, but.
Well, that's a starting point. That's just
a mere pittance. What does that even mean in baseball?
Well, for them, that's how they built this semi-dynasty.
But for the next,
you got to go back minimum for a dynasty.
Well, sure.
So they're not a dynasty, but they're
for the next
terrific
5 years, half a decade. Yeah. It doesn't matter. It's already built.
Well, they're going to lose Garrett Cole in all probability.
True.
Verlander's getting older. I mean, so there are some things at play here. I hear you. Correa's still young. Springer's still young. Altuve's still relatively young. Bregman's young. I get that. That's just the starting point. Listen, what I said when Tiki was out, I would go, and I mean this, back-to-back first-round picks gone. Everybody's saying, well, bang him out for $20 or $50 million. You can't. $2 million is the highest penalty that you can levy against a franchise. So that you start at the $2 million, you take away a multitude of first-round draft picks. I even went so far as to say, ban them from free agent participation. And David Sampson, our buddy from CBS Sports HQ and the former Marlins executive, was on the show all the time. He was on with me when you were out. He basically said you can't do that because the players' union would and I, once I actually stepped back and I looked at it pragmatically, he's right.
It's hurting the players.
But this is what has to happen. The executives, the managers, the coaches, whoever, you're not going to rip down the championship banner from 2017. It's going to be just like my Yankee teams. They won championships with guys who were juiced up. You can't take that down. This isn't like the Fab Five with C. Weber and Jalen Rose ripping down banners. These banners stay up. Mm-hmm. So what you do, if it's proven, and I believe that it will be, that the executives were involved in this intimately, they are all fired, and I might even go so far as to say they are all banned from baseball. I got a question for everybody out there. Poor Pete Rose is going to die. Pete Rose is going to die a sad, lonely baseball death without ever being enshrined in Cooperstown. The man with more hits than Ty Cobb. Mm-hmm. And by the way, he did it in an era when Hispanics and African Americans were playing. So in a lot of ways, Pete Rose's accomplishments were better than Ty Cobb because Ty Cobb played just against the white players. Right? So for Pete Rose to die the sad, slow, painful baseball death, and 30 years later still be not allowed in the Museum of Baseball History, how the hell can you not have equivalency here? Yep. I actually think that this is worse. So I really think that this is worse.
So let's look at the biggest scandals in baseball history. Obviously, Pete Rose is one that you mentioned, the gambling, and whether or not he gambled on his own games or whether he did while he was playing.
He gambled on his own games.
While he was playing, I mean, because that's a different story.
Okay.
As a manager, I get it. But as a player,
so you think it's okay for him? Not okay, but relatively okay?
No, it's just.
I think it's easier as a player to maybe influence it.
I know. That's my point.
Okay, go ahead.
So if he did it while he was playing, then I'd have a really serious issue.
I think that would have been proven by now.
I think so.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this is in late 80s. We would have known by now.
Regardless, that's the scandal.
Okay.
The Pete Rose scandal is one. The Black Sox scandal is another. The PED scandal is a third. That has infiltrated baseball. I mean, there was
a cocaine scandal in the but whatever. A lot of sports have been riddled with the drugs.
That's just living through the 70s.
True.
Man.
True.
Or 80s.
And 80s.
Maybe even through the 90s for some of these guys. But all of those things aside, where does this one rank in your mind?
Number one.
So this is worse than Pete Rose.
This is worse than anything I've ever seen in the NBA, in the NHL, in the National Football League, and anything.
Okay, so it's the worst. Number one. It's the worst in so many ways. In your mind, and BT's a baseball historian.
But I'm a huge fan of everything.
He loves this. He's a baseball fan. He until recently, you cared about the purism of all the numbers. Even that's faded because of the PE thing.
Yeah.
PED thing. I mean, everybody.
I've relented. At this point, I would put Clemens and Bonds into that point.
As have most people.
Most people. There's still some sticklers out there, but let me ask you this
important question.
Okay.
I mean, our listeners and viewers can answer this one as well. Do you think that they care that the Houston Astros were cheating to get signals?
Who's they? Major League Baseball?
No. Viewers. Fans of Major League Baseball.
I think the fans of the Dodgers and the fans of the Yankees and the fans of the Indians, that they don't care, they're not fans.
Okay, but
they absolutely care.
Outside of the ones that were
that's millions of people, though.
I know, but outside of them, do you think that baseball fans care that this scandal, which is it's huge, it really is. If you know the insides of it, it's huge. Do you think that they care?
I can't speak for anybody. All I can tell you is this. And I know that this isn't the best sample. Mm-hmm. I get it. Everything that any interaction, anything I've put out, whether it's the clip of me doing this last week when you were out, and the comments, anything I've had on social media on my account, there is a venom. There is baseball doesn't elicit that sort of response, except like the steroids. That always gets kind of conjures up those old ghosts. Like it rattles the bones.
Well, I mean, because
this has rattled people to their core.
Yeah.
My answer, without speaking for anybody but myself, my best guess is yes.